to go shopping. So I decided I'll do it today so I can have it quickly done for tomorrow. I'm making white corn muffins with green chilies. I'm going to have these actually with soft eggs. Please set your oven at 450. And you're going to have to liberally grease a standard muffin tin. That's what you're going to have to do. Now we need 2 cups of white cornmeal. Where did I put my scissors? Where did I put it? Okay, there you are. Let me turn you down. Okay, to this we're going to be adding baking powder. And they want a tablespoon of baking powder for this one. And we need 1 teaspoon of salt. Now, if you buy your baking powder in the store, you're going to have to also add a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. All right? That's the baking powder hasn't quite broken up. It's a little lumpy. When you make corn muffins, a lot of people will use an all blend or a different oil. They recommend, just like making popcorn, you should use the corn oil when you use cornmeal because it enhances the corn flavor. This is something that's well known. But for a lot of people, young people, you don't have your mothers in the kitchen as often. I grew up with my mother constantly in the kitchen. Now we need another bowl. So we're going to put this bowl aside. We need 2 eggs. We're also going to need 1/4 cup of corn oil. They also say that they want 1 cup of milk, but I am going to use half milk and half discard only because I have so much. I have to get rid of some of this or I'm going to be trashing it. Okay. muffins have never been my favorite, never, but I'm learning. This one was too interesting. And you're saying, well, what else are you going to add to it? It's what we're going to be adding that makes it so interesting, but I want to beat these mixture together first, and then I'll add it to the egg. Because the discard will say separate it unless I do it. Okay, I got that mixed so I can put it in there. Next we need a half a cup of well-drained chilies. Green chilies to be exact. Okay, they're draining. They want a half a cup. Draining them over the sink right now. Okay. This is what they are. They're actually diced green chilies, fire roasted. Okay. I don't need that right now. I have to mix these together. What are we making? We're making white corn muffins with green chilies because I think it'll be good tomorrow with soft-boiled eggs before I go running out of the house because I'm going to be going shopping. Okay, now what they tell you here is they said add the cornmeal mixture and stir just until there are no lumps. And do not overmix. Once you overmix them, they're going to collapse. Every corn muffin I've ever made collapses. So we're going to see about this one. Okay, now, as you can see, it's not thoroughly mixed. You see that? I'm very, very careful about that. Now they said to grease a little on the heavy side, which I did. And we'll see how these come out. They feel a little on the dry side, so I don't know about these. We'll find out. Well, it's a new recipe and I haven't used it, so we'll find out soon enough. Most corn muffin recipes I've had have been very, very moist, but this one's not as moist. It's more on the dry side, but we'll find out. Now, we don't know how these are gonna come out, because I have never made this recipe, but it sounded interesting, and I said, why not? You know? I think this is the second recipe I have used in this cookbook. So we're taking a gambling on this one. All right, they want to bake it about 20 minutes, so we have to wait. Oh, I have to wait. My oven's not up to 450 yet. We have to get up to 450. And we'll see how these come out. Ah, 450, time to go. Minutes. That'll be 2:12. All right, it'll be 12 after the hour. Okay. We're actually making corn muffins. What are we cooking? Corn muffins. Do you season your chicken? Yes, I do. Well, with it, according to what I'm making, I don't know what I'm seasoning something until I make it. There's a lot of different ways of seasoning chicken, like there's a lot of different ways of making chicken, so you have to just depend upon what you're doing. Well, I just lost that page, didn't I, Sandra? And we'll see how those come out. I have no idea if that's going to be a hit and miss. So we have about 20 minutes. What am I going to do with this? I'm going to put it in. Yeah. Now I can use this for something else. Those are the peppers that I'm using. All right, just what with. And what with, I told you, according to what I'm doing, if I'm frying chicken or I'm making 18th century fried chicken, or I'm broiling or whatever I want. Sometimes if you want it curried, it's different. You're making fillets of chicken, so I can't tell you what it is. It just depends upon what I feel like doing. And sometimes I use my discard as well. Like I told and spoke yesterday about that I sit there and I can sit there and tell you that I'm going to make short ribs, but I'm going to make them many different ways because many different people season them differently. And when you follow them or you try one of their recipes, that's what you get. And let's see, clean these up. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. You actually have to wait a bit at this point. We've got 20 minutes of waiting time. But always remember, if you're ever making cornbread, corn muffins, or something with corn, if you want like popcorn, if you want the flavor to stand out, use corn oil. When you use the other oils, it actually interrupts it. Yeah, I just deleted somebody who was getting snotty. Now, when I run out of this baking powder, I will show you again. Somebody asked me to show them how to do them. And so when I go to make baking powder again, though I had done it a couple of years ago, I'll sit there and do it again and show you how to make it. When I run out, I showed you how to make the brown and make your all-purpose flour. let you see how I do it so you can do it and make your own. I tell you, I cannot believe the trolls that get on here. They have nothing better to do than to sit around and insult people. I finally asked my girlfriend, I said, can you guys see each other's messages? Yes. And I said, okay. So I'm going to delete them. And I thank you for the people who showed me how to do that. I don't know if these muffins are coming out. I've never made them. Remember that. I keep on telling you that because I really don't know. I know. I don't know how to pause one of these. The only thing I can do is just, turn it off. And I don't think you want that, so that's why I do it. Keep it running. We just have to wait. That's why it's hard to do lives. I'd have to do it in sections for all of you. Because the cooking time will do it. And I just don't know if they'll ever get something like that to make it easier where I could just put it on pause and say, we'll be back in 20 minutes. But YouTube is moving forward on a lot. Like I'm going to try another way of making soft-boiled eggs tomorrow. And see if I can do it this other way. It'll be easier for me. This is what chefs do. They'll get in the kitchen and they play around. They think of seasonings and stuff and ideas and they execute them. And sometimes they fall apart. I allow you to see some of mine. Because that way you can see that nobody's perfect in the kitchen. We all make these mistakes. It's very standard. Got 14 minutes. I don't know. We all going to wait for 14 minutes? Well, at least if nothing else, I can go ahead and get my dishes done. Oh, everybody's going to leave. I know. Waiting is impossible. But I will be doing dishes. So I don't have to do them later. Like they say, I'm cleaning my mess up. Yeah, I am. Everybody's waiting. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do at that point. But I can get my dishes done. I can't do anything else. I'm going to get my dishes done. Hold on. I gotta put my glasses on. The writing is so small. And you guys have seen a lot. Okay, let's see. Oh, thank you. A lot of these crowns, they say top fans. How do you get that? Does anybody know? Oh, that was quick. That was easy. Got that done. I'm still waiting. You mean the muffins? They're corn muffins. They smell like corn muffins. They just have some chili peppers added to them, and we're making them. You can actually start to smell the sweetness of the corn. And we used corn oil because when you use cornmeal or whenever you use corn, you should use the oil with it, and it comes out. It enhances the flavor. When you sit there and use other oils, it diminishes the flavor of the corn. And by the way, no, except the corn. And you can smell the peppers. So this is not a sweet muffin. This is a corn muffin with chili peppers in them. Well, chili green peppers, you know. They're diced up. Yeah, it smells like that. So you can smell the corn and you can smell the peppers. But they're diced green chili peppers. That's what they call them. Oh. Did you get enough amber? Okay, we got 8 minutes and it'll be ready. They do sound good. That's why I'm trying them, Sergio. I just think that they'd be nice tomorrow morning with, like I said, a soft-boiled egg. I showed you how to do a hard-boiled egg without getting the sulfur drawn out of it, or the white being tough and chewy. A lot of people are accustomed. They say, well, this is how eggs are. No, when you do them right, the white is really nice and the yolk is a bright, bright yellow. So I'm going to see if I can pull off a soft-boiled egg, because my soft-boiled eggs are always a hit and miss with me. Sometimes I get them right, sometimes I get them wrong, so I just sort of have to do it that way. I never know what they're going to do with me. Okay, 7 minutes. We got a countdown. We got a countdown. Yeah, it's an easy recipe to make, but I've never made this one, so it's sort of new for me. Well, I don't know. They look like they're rising. They look like they're coming up. But always remember, whenever you make muffins, make sure that you always you don't overmix them. That was a big mistake most people make all the time, and they assume muffins are flat or that they'll never be able to do it. What it is you use a fork and just don't overmix them. That's why I show you all the time, so you get a lot better at this. This is, I think, why muffins fell out of favor with mothers or people who cook, because they couldn't get them up to rise. I'm widowed now. I lost my husband, but I had a 40-year marriage with him. Okay, 5 more minutes. 5, 6 more minutes. We're waiting. Sorry, that's all we can do is wait. I hope they come out. I really hope they come out really, really nice. That's my whole thing. So what have you guys been up to? You guys are quiet like me waiting. You're a hunter. Very good. Where do you hunt? In Colorado? Upstate New York? Somewhere in there? I know in Washington or another country. Pennsylvania? That's mountainous up there. Well, I wish you all the luck, and I hope you get a buck. I love venison meat. I grew up on it. My father was a hunter. You're welcome. Enjoy. Have fun. Be safe out there when you hunt also, because you get surprises you don't expect. I almost got shot one time because I was with Dingaling. But they said, we saw your daughter, her hair was braided, and she was all in red. We couldn't miss her, but we wanted the deer. They couldn't get Dingaling because I was next to him, and they didn't want to hit me. And Dingaling was my pet deer. I didn't want anybody to hurt him. But he ended up killing himself. I can't believe him. He just didn't want to listen. Yeah, well, he was at the hunting camp, and his mother died, and he was taken in, and they put a cowbell around him. So this is where he got his name Dingaling from. And we went to the hunting camp because my mother wouldn't sleep on the ground. She said she'll get us a house where we can live, and she used the wood burning stove. This is where I learned a little bit about wood burning stoves and stuff, and hauling water and outhouses and stuff. And he became my pet. He knew exactly, he could hear the car and he'd come running, and my mother would put me, I hated the color red. And she braided my hair in red. I had red sweaters on, red sneakers, red pants. I mean, I was all covered in red sweaters and everything. And I would hold on to Dingaling, around his neck, and he would walk with me. He walked me literally on their trails, and he showed me what to eat and not eat. He went under the barbed wire, and I crawled under the barbed wire with him. And then what would happen is, as he got older, he started jumping over, and he looked at me. Come on over. Oh, no. I kept crawling under because I knew barbed wire. I know what it's made up of. And I crawled under, and he would jump over, and then he'd look at me like, come on, jump over. I'm going to crawl right back under again. I learned their smells because he used to rub his legs up against me. I didn't understand why he was always rubbing his legs up against me, but that's where their smell is. And he was rubbing me like a deer, to the point that I actually smelled like a deer. And I got to see the big buck who had the rack on him. He had a big rack. And he came to the back door with Dingaling. And it wasn't hunting season. My father had 2 days to wait, and he couldn't do anything. And the buck was there. And I went out there and played with the buck and with Dingaling. And then 2 days later, we couldn't find the buck at all. So my father went to the blind, and he took me, and he killed the deer. And I cried because it was such a beautiful little deer. And so he said, well, this is life, Sandy. There's life and death, and it's always like this. So I sat there and said, okay. And then what happened was, the next day when we went to go early in the morning, I was very, very tired because I'd been out all day playing with Dingaling. And my father left me in the car with a couple of apples to munch. Do you know they like apples? Well, guess who came up to the car? The buck with the big racket. My father's in the hunting blind a ways off. So I played with him, and Dingaling and the Buck and I were running around the car, and I shared my apples. They got most of it than I did. And what happened was I told my father, and he got so angry. He put me up in the blind, and he sat in the car. And they found me at the blind, and I crawled down to go play with them right there. And then I went back up into the blind, and I told my father, I saw Dingaling and the deer, the big deer with the big head. That was my description of his rack at the time. And my father got angry. So wherever I went, my father went. Dingaling wouldn't show up, and neither would the Buck. But as soon as my father left, he would come around. And what was cute was when hunting season was over and we were packing up to leave, the Buck and Dingaling came. And my father was so mad. He said, I'll get you next year. Nobody could get him. He was a smart buck. He was big, too. Okay, we're going to check these. Well, I don't like them. All right? I don't. They smell good. I don't like the way they came out. I think I'm going to have to add extra milk to it. I don't like them. Okay? They didn't come out the way I wanted, see? So I'm going to sit there and redo that recipe. I don't like them. They smell good, but I don't like them. Okay? Well, it was a real story. It really happened. I remember when Dingaling lost his little girlfriend, she jumped over the fence and she fell to the ground, and she got tangled up in the barbed wire is what happened. And she was trying to break free, and when she did, we couldn't find her. Dingaling came to the back door because he knew I was there. And he sat there, and he wanted me to follow him. He'd walk a bit and he'd turn back and look at me. And my parents, they said, it's too early for you to go out. And I said, Mommy, something's wrong. Dingaling's telling us we have to go. So my father and mother and all went, and they found the deer, a young doe, on the ground, and Dingaling was there. And my father spent over an hour after he got her out of the barbed wire and all, and cleaned her up. He rubbed her legs to get her to stand back up, to get circulation back in them, and worked the legs trying to get her back up, get her back up, get her back up. She couldn't get up. She couldn't get up on her legs at all, no matter what my father did to help her. There was no way of getting her up on the legs. So my mother and father looked at each other, and it was like we were given the order, go with Mommy. So we all went, and Dingaling followed with me instead of staying with the doe that was on the ground, a young one. My father killed her because she couldn't survive as a cripple. And what happened was he took her, when they went to the butcher, my father asked to check what was wrong with the deer. And when the butcher cut her, he said all her tendons were ripped. She'd never stand again. And so my father took it. Okay, but that's all there is. I'm going to have to work on this muffin recipe. They smell good. They'll probably taste good. I don't like the way they look. Okay? So listen, you take care, all of you, and have a great afternoon, and may your evenings be blessed. Okay? Bye-bye.